Hi, I'm Sam Palmer, this is Living in Luxury. Today we are back at a house you may have seen on a previous video. And the reason we're back is because I wanted to give you a little behind the scenes shot with George, who's the owner and developer of this house. How are you?
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for meeting us. We had a chat the other day and I thought it was really interesting because it was all about building this house.
Correct.
So I wanted to get a little bit of insight, and I always get asked by listeners, I want to see the behind the scenes, and I think this is such a cool thing because I think everyone wants to build their own house. You've done it.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through a bit of the process. We're in front of us, what you'll see here, we're obviously in the lounge. You're actually just behind on the island and actually by the cooker. But we're going to go through the process of buying the home, why, area, and then building it and making this time scale. People don't usually know how much it costs to build a home.
Sure.
So give us a brief intro of, we're at day dot. When did you think about building the home?
Sure. Well, first off, I'm a spec home builder, and that's different than a residential builder in the sense that I don't do developments.
Yeah.
So developments are very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And developments, you usually have model homes, and you'll say, this is the model home that I want to choose.
I want a 2-bed, 3-bed, or 4-bed,
And it goes on this lot, and typically all the lots are the same 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 square foot.
Yeah.
So these homes are spec homes with very unusual lots. They're not all the same.
Yep.
And so the lot will often dictate the design of the home. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the most challenging but also most exciting thing to do as a designer.
Yeah.
Is how can I maximize the lot itself?
Yeah.
And then work with the constraints of the environment, the beautiful trees that I'll leave in place, the windows that I will put in front of those beautiful trees, the way the light passes through the home.
Yeah.
Where I'll situate
Which is
rooms.
really important, obviously.
It's very important, yeah.
Privacy.
Privacy is very important.
I'm just thinking about the bathroom upstairs.
Sure,
with that lovely tree there and like just blocking off the window, but it's But it's
if you look behind us, there's no lights on in this house, and it's still very bright. So I'll think about things of wind patterns as well. So at night, if 3 o'clock, there's a beautiful breeze that comes through. How does the breeze flow, and where will I put doors and windows to capitalize on the breeze? So there's a lot of that goes into it. There's also noise patterns. So where do you put the primary bedroom? Well, you want to put that away from any kind of noise that is in the environment. If there's planes flying overhead, or if there's a roadway or something like that, you always want to isolate those areas. If there are theaters in the house, where do you insulate the theater? Luckily for this house, I'm very fortunate because we do have a basement theater,
which is one of the best basements. And we'll if you want to see the full home tour of this, click back on a couple of other videos where this is, and you'll see the full home tour of this home, Studio City home, and you can see, walk around, because this has got an incredible basement. Because this is quite unusual, this home, this has got amenities of a 15,000 square foot home inside it, which is actually part of the thought process, obviously, that you've gone through to put this in to sell it.
I think also, it's a very good point. When you're doing this, you have to check all the boxes, because that's what these very discerning buyers want. So you're going to want a theater now in a home. You're going to want a home gym. You're going to want a wellness center of the house as well.
Wellness is huge.
The wellness is very big. In addition to the normal things that you find in a home: a nice kitchen, nice family room, nice dining room, bedrooms, things like that.
And that's obviously going to maximize the profit and to get out, to make it worthwhile you doing it. Because you could build a small house here, but you've got a lot cost. Actually, let's go to the beginning then.
It's a great point, because here, as a developer, so I'll buy a home like this, and so you have this. You start over with vacant land. Yeah. And then you say, what am I?
Was there a home already situated?
There was a home here from 1927.
Yeah.
And
what size home was it on?
So it was 1,900 square feet.
Oh, so it was small, yeah. So small for this lot.
Yeah. And then also, what makes me unusual too is I will look at any home project and say, is it salvageable as a rehab? Can I flip this house? Can I add a lot of value to the house? And more often than not, like a 1927 home that was very abused over the years and neglected, it's full of termites, it's full of wood rot.
That's actually really good. I just want to stop there, because if you're watching this from England, people don't realise all the houses are built, and that's why they're so they're much easier to knock down, because they are wood and not brick built, which is obviously a lot more expensive to to get rid of,
Yeah.
which obviously you get in England. Here they're all wood built, but you get lots of problems with older homes. And funny is when we say, even here, a 1960s home in LA is an old home, whereas in England, that's a relatively new home compared to this home's 200 years old, things like that. But it's because it's built in wood. You can change fascias on things and make them look different quite relatively easy. Like you could take the fascia off of this building and make it a big modern farmhouse with all wood paneling all over it. Like so people do that in their development. I just wanted to get that over there before we went on.
Yeah, and I think even though we do have a beautiful climate here, we have an amazing amount of subterranean termites that will just eat the heck out of these houses. Yeah. So when you're looking at that and you buy these older homes and you sit there and say, I have to put $700,000, $800,000, even $1 million into it just to make it livable again.
Yeah.
Windows, doors, foundational problems, the wood that needs to be replaced. So it doesn't really make sense as a developer to do that.
No.
So what we'll do is we'll start over with a fresh design, and you have to maximize the land as much as you can because again, you paid a lot of money for the property.
Yeah.
So I could, much to your point before, I can't go in here and build a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah, because you'll lose money.
And it won't make any sense. Yeah. And the other thing, there's economies of scale. So if I'm going to build a 3-bedroom house, and let's say it cost me $2 million to build, if I build a 4,000 square foot house, it's not double the cost.
Yeah.
Because my crews are here, my workers are here, the trucking has to come here, all the subcontractors have to come here. So you do get more of a benefit when you're building a larger home as opposed to a smaller property. So where I start is I will have a layout of the property. This is a land survey. And you will essentially have to be, you have to deal with the setbacks of the property. So neighbors have setbacks, street has setbacks. And so you are given this box that you have to design your home around. And that's what this is. So this is
So when did you buy this piece of land?
I bought this in January of 2020.
So COVID, before COVID.
COVID was
2 months.
3 months later was COVID. Now, there's a great thing that happened with me in this house as well. So it typically takes me about 7 or 8 months to get a building permit.
Yeah.
This house took 30 months, almost 3 years to get a building permit.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then also another thing is we have historical society for this house.
Right.
Something that's very important. So there are trees outside that are protected.
Yeah.
And we can't touch the trees.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I never want to touch the trees. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
But you still have to go through the
well, so that was a long. So I just want to flip that to anyone building your house. Now, say you've done that, you've borrowed money, and now you've got that sort of delay. Now you're paying interest on that money for you're talking
years and years.
Years further than you expected. Yeah. That is where the risk of development is high.
Absolutely.
Because no one foresaw COVID, no one foresaw, you didn't foresee this taking 5 years.
And the banks are going to want their money. So they don't care about situations like that. So that was a definite consideration. So now the decision that I made, because I was also building other homes at the same time, is I decided to live in this house. If it was going to stay empty for 3 years, I'm going to live in it. Now the great thing about living in this house is I discovered some of those things that we talked about earlier, how the light comes into the property, how the breeze comes into the property, noise, things like that, the accessibility to the street, parking, things like that all really came into the design of
the home. So you really got to live the area as well.
I did. Yeah. But what really hit home for me is I started to change my design in the sense that homes really became a haven for people.
Yeah.
And the importance of having a home. And because we weren't even able to go to the gym, we couldn't go to the parks.
Oh yeah.
So I said, I have to bring all of that.
So that's why the wellness is in this.
That's why the wellness came into this house.
Wow, actually, that's actually a really cool story.
Yeah. So it was, saltwater pools and massage rooms and home
because it did change there. Because before that, it was bars, which everyone wanted a bar there, a bar over there, a bar.
Correct.
And that was kind of the spec developer that were building these homes for bachelors, really, but they were family homes, but then they put black marble in them, and it just didn't work.
It's not functional.
Yeah, when you look at them now, you think, wow, how did that ever sell? But there was a lot of them that did at a time, and then sort of everyone followed that trend for quite a while in LA.
Yeah.
And now wellness, and that is, I actually never even really thought about it. It's really come from COVID because you were in your house for so long.
Yes, so that was a big part of it, and even open concept.
Yeah.
Knowing that this is a 7-bedroom house that we're standing in.
Yeah.
So you probably have a lot of people in this house.
Yeah.
So open concept doesn't necessarily work for a large home because everybody's in everybody's business. So there are places in here where you can have a little escape and go to different areas of the house.
You've got the office where you can shut the doors.
Absolutely.
Take a phone call.
Go downstairs.
Pool house,
you got a pool house. You have a theater.
Yeah.
You have a lot of places to just escape. And there's also, I set the house up with 2 yards. So we do have sort of an entertainer's backyard over here, but then we have a green side to the
Because this is an unusual lot for this area, because it's double the size.
It's double the size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that not a little bit scary buying that? Did you think, was it a risk buying to be the bigger home on the street?
I think as a developer and as a designer, you want the freedom of having a large lot.
I agree.
I do love the way
families,
and I do love a long home. I think they're just aesthetically more pleasing than sort of like a boxy house.
Agree.
So I love the idea that the lot was big. Do you take a risk? Sure. If all the lots are 5,000 square feet and you've got a 9,000 square foot lot, sure. But there are buyers who will appreciate.
But this is, I suppose, where are we? It's for people that don't know the area. Studio City. We've got Ventura Boulevard. This is one of my favorite areas in LA.
It is.
It's a big family area. You've got some great schools around here.
The schools are amazing.
Yeah.
The Harvard Westlake campus, you have the Carpenter School District.
Yeah.
These are some of the best schools that we have in the Valley.
Yeah.
And then also the walkability. So people, again, if we go back to COVID, I love the idea that I could just walk down the street and go to restaurants or go to a gym.
Because if you don't know LA, there's very few places you can walk in LA. Rodeo Drive is one of them.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's very, very few areas with this length of restaurants, bars, gyms, Pilates. As I say, we just said Pilates was on in the area at the minute. And so it's the time of day where you get a lot of women in here, coffee shops are filled. Like, it's buzzy, this area.
Yeah. It's definitely evolving over to, I feel like it's almost like the new West Side of Los Angeles.
So do I. I really do. A lot of people say to me, where do I advise living?
Yeah.
And I say here, for young families, I think it's great.
Yeah.
Or singles, like couples, singles. Because you've got bars, you've got restaurants, and it seems to be new ones every sort of month. There's a new one opening.
Yeah. And industry is here. So we have some of the largest studios right here. Universal Studios is right here. CBS, Hallmark, Disney, Universal, Warner Brothers. It's all right here. So it's a great location for that as well.
Yeah. So tell us. So here we go. We got a plan here from dated.
Yeah. So dated September 2021. The other thing too that I felt as a developer, I was building a lot of farmhouses. That was all the trend. Everybody was doing farmhouses, black and white, filled.
Exactly.
And I felt like
I lived in one.
Yeah. A lot of us did. I built a lot. And I felt like they were getting a little long in the tooth. So I said, what's the next generation of home? And I think you can play it very safe by saying a traditional home never goes out of style.
I agree with that.
So what I built here is a transitional home. So a traditional home with a lot of modern amenities in it. So I think I followed a normal floor plan. Like you take a first floor and you say, what does a first floor have? It has a kitchen, a family room, a dining room, a powder room, an office maybe a bedroom. And then the upper floors are typically the bedrooms of the house. But I had the luxury of saying, now I have this beautiful basement area that I could, almost 600 square feet of basement. And what's great about that is you can put a very large theater in a basement, a home gym, wellness area in the basement, a sauna, a bar, an entertainment area. So that's lovely because I had the freedom of really being able to check a lot of those boxes that I talked about.
And I think that people don't understand, and I'll use it especially in the US. Floor plan is the absolute key. There is nothing worse than walking in a home as an agent and going, oh, why is that there?
Why is that there?
Why is the kitchen next to the front door? Why is this there? Why does the kitchen not walk out onto the backyard or the seats? Just if you get it wrong, it's probably not going to sell, and them ones that get it ridiculously wrong lose money.
Yeah.
So it's so important. This process is.
As a designer, I equate some of it to the car industry, where I say, why are the cup holders there?
Yeah.
They don't really. They
yeah.
don't talk to the consumer, and the engineers. They don't get together.
Or the charging point where you have to kind of reach in underneath.
Whatever
and you're like,
that is, where you're like, I'll never buy this car again.
Yeah.
So I do that. I try to do that with the homes, and thank you for noticing that about it. So
this
a lot of it
is an amazing floor plan.
Functional design.
Yeah.
I also take into account sight lines. So if there are parents in the kitchen area, they want to be able to see the pool if their kids are out there swimming. So things like that are important, or playrooms.
Yeah.
Or you do want the isolation of, I need to make a quiet phone call in an office.
Yeah.
So where do we put that? So that
even the guest bedroom, as I say, where it's got its own separate access
to the side.
to the office, so you could have a meeting. Someone doesn't have to come through your house and come through there. If you've got a maid or a guest, etc., they can come straight in without waking everyone else up. They go straight into that. It is so big until you don't have it. Like that's the.
Right.
It's only when you realise when you're living in it, because it will all look pretty. You'll come in and you go, oh, this is so great, this house.
Absolutely.
And then you go, why on earth is there not?
Did they do
why
this?
is that bedroom there? Like and not there, like it just doesn't work,
Right.
and you just
or something as simple as, how do I get my groceries into the pantry?
Yep.
So things like that.
Yeah.
I look at these multi-level homes, and some of them are very beautiful, but the idea of parking in a subterranean garage and then everything is above you.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah, and look, sometimes you have to do it if it's in the hillside or something
do.
like that. On a flat piece of land,
Right.
you really can get it right from word go, and you've done it. And I love your drawings here, which is, as you said earlier, your back of the napkin.
Yeah. I call them napkin drawings when I first start. Even the design of the exterior of the home, just to get some ideas, and then my layout for my backyards or landscape design. I do it all by hand, and then of course it gets translated into CAD design through the architects.
So after you got approval to build the home,
Yes.
how long did it take you to then construct this home?
It took 2.5 years.
Wow.
Some things people have to take into account too, and this is in choosing the correct contractor, is lead times for a lot of things that you put into your house. To give you an idea, the windows took 11 months to get the windows.
Where did they come from?
So they're American.
Were they from America?
They're
as well?
from America.
Wow.
But they're wooden windows, and
Yeah.
of course this is a custom home, so nothing
Yeah.
is off the shelf.
Yeah.
So the windows took 11 months. The appliances at the time took almost a year to get appliances. And
So if you don't, if say it's your first time,
Sure.
you don't think of that. You think, oh, well, I'll go to the appliance store and I'll buy all the stuff at the last.
Right.
I'll get that.
Right.
Oh, now you're sitting with the kitchen with nothing in it.
Yeah,
for a year.
and even more serious would be something like the windows, because you can't even wrap the outside of your house unless you have the windows installed.
Yeah.
So again, you're borrowing money on a home like this, and then like that is a big delay.
Especially at
for
interest rates now.
interest rates now.
Compared to where they were,
Yeah.
which it makes it, and so I think that's actually a good idea. We're talking about costs and things like that. What people don't know as well, when you've got to factor costs in, is real estate fees. So compared to the UK, if there's a lot of people watching the UK, real estate fees are a lot higher here than the UK. UK probably 1%, 2%. Here it's 2.5 either side, 2% either side, depending on the size of the home.
Yeah.
And then you've also got a mansion tax,
You do.
ULA, the homeless tax.
4.5% of the purchase price of the house.
So an extra 4.5%.
Yeah.
As well as your federal tax, your state taxes, all of these things that you have to put into.
You are a check writing machine when you're building a house.
Yeah.
That's really what you do. For
Yeah, because
many
people,
years.
I think the general idea is, greedy developers, they come in, they buy this lot, it's 500 grand, all this cost, and that's it, they're selling it at 9 million. It is nowhere near that.
No.
And
No.
you've done this project 5 years without paying yourself.
5.5 years, no pay.
Yeah, so this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Where it could go. I'm going to touch wood. We hope that's not going to happen. A market shift could come just at the end when you go to sell,
Anytime.
and then a recession or something like that, where now
world
we can't
events,
sell.
anything like that.
And if you're borrowing money and you can't afford to pay it, you literally lose it all. It is a big gamble. Like, it's a huge gamble when you're building homes. I don't think people quite take that risk into it. They think, a lot of people think it's the aggravation of building it, which also is tough because everything usually goes longer than
Always.
We're gonna be
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks to do the ceiling, and another 2 months rolls by, the guy still hasn't come. So there's all of that, but also the financial ramifications are so big.
Yeah, and there's opportunity cost of money too. So when you're building something like this, you did tie up a lot of money for many years.
For a long time, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's something to really, really think of if you're thinking of buying a home.
Yeah.
Definitely get the right people to do it.
You have to get the right people, the right contractors.
A track record.
Absolutely. See what they've built.
Yeah.
Maybe walk through something that they've built if that's possible.
Speak to owners.
Speak to the owners of the house.
Does the house leak? Is it a good house?
Yeah.
Because there's all of these things, because there's so many building companies out there.
Yes.
Not all are great.
Yeah, I mean, you always get what you pay for in this business, and the cheapest
I do agree with that.
Definitely not going to give you the best product.
And that is, I think that is something definitely to be aware of. I think definitely in LA, that is a very true factor, because you can get good value, what it seems, and it won't last, and it just all of a sudden it starts moving and stuff.
Well, you're also changing things out in 10 or 12 years if you don't like the design.
Yeah.
You don't like the lighting that they put in the house. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important thing as well, because a lot of these things, some lighting fixtures are thousands of dollars just for one of them. So you'll spend quite a bit just changing out maybe a ceiling light that you don't really have.
Yeah, exactly. And style. So that's where you thought of this style of home. Now, I remember when looking at the white box when they first came about, and I remember saying at the time, that will never date. And I look at them now, 10 years later, and I think they are probably the most dated thing, which is weird.
Right.
They're just soulless boxes now, and except for the ones which are view properties and it's all glass, and you kind of actually understand why that was. Yeah. But when they built them not on views, you look and think, what on earth? You've got to knock that down now, and that will not stand the test of time. Whereas something more traditional, it always lasts.
It always does. And the other thing that I do is I build the aesthetic of the neighborhood. So I don't want to go into a traditional 1950s neighborhood and put a contemporary house there. It just doesn't work in my opinion.
No.
The aesthetic doesn't work, and I even hear the feedback from the neighbors who say, "Oh my God, why do they build such an ugly house in a beautiful,
just doesn't fit in
classic neighborhood?" Yeah.
It's like going to Truesdale, use that again, where there are more view properties and building a farmhouse. It just doesn't fit in the. Even though in LA, unlike London, you do get a street with different styles of homes, like Spanish. You get all these different styles of homes, which I love about here.
Yeah.
But there is still sort of some form of conformity where they're not all like the architectural.
So I chose the style of home. So we went to that level. So we said traditional home.
Yeah.
Transitional in terms of modern amenities.
Yeah.
And then I chose a design language for the house, which was really important. So and I knew that we were getting away from the black and whites and the grays of the farmhouse era.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, we are now back in the earthy tones.
Yeah, the beiges, which is my house.
Yeah, right. If you wait long enough,
the whites, we are like literally. It's funny. It's like the color palette of my house at the moment,
because
we done it 2 years ago.
So just wait.
Yeah.
So that was the idea of the home. The other idea was sort of a spa feel.
Yeah.
Or
which this is, and I think especially with California, that inside-outside living, it really works well in.
Yeah,
That's why I think it will probably stay longer, this style at the moment.
I think so.
Because it, as you say, it is very spa. Every spa you go in is the same. I went to breakfast in Great White in Brentwood today. It's exactly the same. The beige bar, there's curves, there's soft seating. And you look, and I actually thought, this is actually this time at the moment, and it was really, really well done. How they'd done it, but I like that you've done this.
It's a very good point. I love Ojai, California. And,
me too. It's gorgeous.
There's probably a lot of that influence here. There's also influence in my East Coast roots with a basement, with real grass on the property, with a lot of landscaping.
See, people don't even think of that, because obviously, real grass in California, it goes brown. So you have to have I know this from our house, you have to have the right sprinkler system, things like that. Otherwise, you are changing that grass every 3 weeks. Yeah. Like it just dies.
Yeah. Choose the right type of grass.
And it does feel better.
That can handle it. And then the plants. So you try to go with the native plants that can handle the droughts. And
much better.
Change in season. So ficus trees are just amazing for privacy and also for the resilience.
And it's like because we used to have that in our old house. We used to have like very English garden with the flowers and everything. And it used to cost a fortune, and they died and things like that. So we went more native, lower water, like it's a much better way, and it actually looks better because it's what California should have in the nature. And I do like that. And it's,
well, I always think of throwing a ball to your children or throwing a ball to your dog or just rough housing on grass. It seems like
there's nothing for me, nothing better than walking out in the morning and stepping on wet grass. Like that it's just lovely. Like it, and I do like turf as well. Like you've got it in little bits, like I do in my garden in little bits around the pool, things like that. Because ultimately, if you put it there,
it's difficult to
it's gonna just get muddy, and you're gonna walk that in. So it's all them little things. But what else have we got? So then it took you 3 years to build.
It took 2.5 years to build.
2.5 years to build. So, and then you've now got it finished.
Yes.
And then we've just gone on the market.
Yes.
Then what's the feelings now? Like, how do you feel as an owner?
I love it. I'm proud of it. I always use the term passion projects, and that's what these houses are for me.
Yeah.
I treat every one of these houses as if I was going to live in it.
Yeah.
And that hasn't gotten old for me in doing this career.
How many homes in total have you done?
I've been doing this for, I started when I was 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, but a lot of it was flipping houses for many, many years.
Yeah.
And then I got into development later on in life when I purchased a home. And so I purchased a home in California and then I flipped it myself. It took me 3 years. I did the work myself.
Yeah.
And then I went to do it again. And the house required so much work that I met with a contractor who said, you should just tear it down. Because it's going to cost you $800,000 just to do the windows and flip it. Yes. So he said you could tear it down, you could rebuild a house, and you'll have a house that's 3 times the size and worth a lot more money.
Wow.
And so that's where the journey started.
That's where you started.
That's where it started. And I met with an architect, and we chose designs at the time. And but as you choose an architectural design that was designed for another property, you can sit there and say, I wish the windows were here. I wish I had
because always, once you've done one, there's always then going to be something that you'd change about it. Always. Like it's funny, because this one I find very difficult, because usually when I walk in somewhere, I say, I would change that. First thoughts of this, walking around it, and I've been it a couple of times now, there's nothing I would change. But once you've lived there and you've built them, you'll see something else that other people won't see in another home and go, oh, that would have worked there, and that's where you're always improving and getting better at your craft.
Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of my input started to come in, where I said, I feel like I can build and design better homes than the ones that I have access to as far as somebody else's plans. And so I started to get, each home that I've built as time has gone by, I've become more and more integral in the design of the home.
Well, I think that is very good. Now I'm going to say, if you want to see more of this home, not only is my on my channel you can see the full walkthrough tour as well, but you're also today filming with the Luxury Home Show, who I've presented on a few times as well, who do an amazing job, and they do a much more in-depth video than mine as well. So watch that one as well, because then you'll learn a little bit more about what materials were used and things like that. So I think that was fantastic. Thank you so much. It was lovely.
Appreciate it.
To see you, and thanks for your time for this.
Absolutely.
See you all later.
Bye.